Oh, did you hear me end the last video with uh-oh? Well, my computer decided that this was a really good time to update everything for Windows 10. I guess there was a whole bunch of updates backed up and it just shut off and started doing such. So anyway, where are we? We are building an outhouse. Okay, the next step is to work with the top of the outhouse seat cover. Now I wanted to have mine stained. My glue's dried up since all of that. So I am just putting a little bit of tacky glue on there. And I'm going to center the seat cover over the hole. There we go. Now then, the glue goes on the edges of the pieces that you have already in place here. As I said earlier, if you want to, making sure that the part I painted white is facing forward, I'm going to put that in place. Okay. And what would an outhouse be without a set of rules for the outhouse? You'll find this on your graphics sheet. So I'm just going to tip this up and put them right there. Okay. Now, if you want to know what those rules say, this is it. Leave it like you want to find it. Put the lid down. Leave plenty of paper for the next person. If you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a sweetie, wipe the seedy. And shut the door so the varmints don't get in. So that's what you've got pasted on the back wall of your outhouse. Like that. Okay, now the next wall, the next piece, is a little more awkward because you have to, you're going to put it in place like that and decide where on that wall you want to have your toilet paper. So I'm going to take a pencil and just make a mark. I think mine is going to go right about there somewhere. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to cut a little tiny piece. And I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in it. I don't know if you can see that. Try and bring it up close to the, okay, of course it won't focus up there. Anyway, this is just a little bend in it to hold the, maybe you can see it if I put it down on there. You can see I've got it in kind of a Z shape. Now that we've got a bit of shape in it, I'm going to actually shorten it a little bit because we don't want it to go too far into the, okay, so now we've got it even shorter. And we are going to take an awl, and I'm just going to make a little hole in the wood here. I'm going to take my glue tiny dot of glue there. And then I'm going to take my little piece of wire and I did this in the wrong order. Okay, let's backtrack a bit. Go back to your graphic sheet. We're going to cut out those 4 pieces of Sears Roebuck catalog. Now I know that the catalog is way older than the sign. It's been kind of yellow. They're kind of yellowed. Okay, now using the awl again. Actually, you know what would make more sense? Would be to use a straight pin. Now we're going to put a little hole through each of these. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack them up. Not too carefully. Oops. Where did that go? Okay, so we're just stacking these up roughly. Like that. And I'm going to take a straight pin and I'm going to put a hole right through the paper. Now you see I've got it skewered onto the paper. And now the challenge is going to be to skewer it onto the wire. And I can't get a good enough grip on my tweezers, and I don't want to put that down. May have to drop this as an idea because the wire is okay. Oops. Well, I had it, now I lost it. Okay, I'm going to put this on one side because I've decided that a better way to do it might be to use a needle and thread and then hang it on the wire. So now we can put this, and hopefully our glue hasn't dried yet. So let's put our wire into the hole. And using our needle nose pliers, let's bend that up a little bit more. Okay, so now what we have is a little hook. Can you see that? A little hook on the wall. And we will sew together our pages of the Sears Roebuck catalog. But meanwhile, I can now glue this in place. And I'm just going to run a little bit of glue along the bottom here so it will fasten to the edge. And I'm going to turn this around and put just a little bit of glue on the edges of our seat here. And now we can glue that in place. I'm going to take this little bit of masking tape that I used over here off, and I'm going to reapply it over here, holding it nice and tight. Okay, now we can put the front wall see if we manage to permanently glue this in place at the now put our front wall in place. Checking for the size, make sure everything's all lined up. Take a little bit more of our painter's tape here. Fasten that in place. We'll fasten that in place. Well, we go to the roof. Now, let me just put that pin away before I drop it, because of course the only way to find a pin that you dropped on the floor is to step on it. Okay, now, if you go back to this, you will find that there are two pieces remaining, and you'll see that they are slightly different sizes. That is because one piece of roof actually overlaps the other piece of roof like that. So let's find our X-Acto knife in this mess we call a desk, and we'll now we're going to start with the smaller one, okay, and we're going to get some of the laser burn off the edges. Okay. Now I only did one of the two long edges, that one I left, because this end is going to actually be covered up by the, okay. So we need glue along these two edges. And just place it on so that it is centered, like that. And then we'll take the other piece while that is just setting a bit. Now this is going to be shingled, but we'll do that when we shingle the main roof of the cabin. We'll do them all together. Aging things is very much a personal preference, how you do it and how much of it you do. So a lot of that will be left sort of to your own devices as to how much you want to age it. This time we're adding glue to that piece along here. Okay, now we will center the roof on like that. Okay. Starting to look like an outhouse. And my door is going to fit like that. I'm not going to install the door at the moment because I still have to put my Sears Roebuck catalog inside. So I'm going to leave the door over there. However, I think the time has come to be patient. I'm just going to do one more thing before we leave it to let everything set up, and that is I am going to cut out, carefully cut out, my moose crossing sign. Oops, dot of glue on the back here. And I'm going to apply my moose crossing sign to the front of my outhouse like that. Because when our cabin is finished, we are actually going to have a moose peering around from behind that cabin, that outhouse. Okay. Now we'll carefully take these two side pieces of tape off. Because we have license plates to put in place. Now, I see they're a little bit shiny now from where we I find the easiest way to cut these out is to cut them out in a block. Now I'll cut the two long strips out. There's one strip. And here's the other strip. Okay, now we can cut off individual license plates. These are very tiny, and I'm going to make sure I've always got them face up so I don't mix them up with the scrap that I'm going to throw away. In fact, I just stepped away for a second to get my glue stick, because it occurs to me that it will be a lot easier that as these are cut out, because they're so tiny, I think I'm just going to pop them on the glue stick. And then I'll stick them on the, it's not particularly straight. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. There are 16 in total. Some are old, some are new. So I'm not going to bore you to tears watching me do this. Oops. For every single license plate. There's Alberta. So I'll be back when I have all my license plates applied. Okay, we've now got our full license plate collection fastened up on our outhouse. Looks kind of cute. If you want your license plates to look a little rustier, you could always use something like Distress Ink's Vintage Photo, or you could, when you age the rest of your, when you continue to age your outhouse, you could just do the aging right over top of the license plates. But they're metal, they get washed by the rain. I figure they're okay. I also took that opportunity to sew together my pages for my outhouse. Now, I did that off camera because I suspected that, and rightly so, that threading a needle was going to require some helpful words that I did not want to hear on camera. So, okay, so we've got them sewed together, and there's a little loop of thread there. I don't know if you can see that. So what we're going to do, well, first of all, the thing we're going to do is we're going to clean our tweezers off so that when we put the glue on the... Now, work this out ahead of time, which order you want your tweezers in. Which position you want your tweezers in, how you can best apply that little piece of thread to the hook. Now, it doesn't actually have to be over the hook, but it has to be glued in the near vicinity of the hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to, oops, I'm using white paint again. We're just going to put a little tiny bit of glue on the threads and behind this. And then we're going to I wish I could show you this on camera, but I can't because it see that? We now have the pages of the Sears Roebuck catalog hanging from a hook, ready to be used for toilet paper. Now, if you're more of a modernist, you can actually use toilet paper. Okay, this door is going to be glued in place like this. It's a nice snug fit. But I'm not going to do that at the moment because I'll probably knock it off when I'm doing the shingles. So, that's your cabin in the woods, your outhouse for your cabin in the woods. Pretty cute, huh?